And in this video, we're going to be talking about Ron Logan and why law enforcement put such emphasis and focus on this individual during the early stages of the police investigation. Afterwards, we're also going to be discussing how this could potentially affect any upcoming trial concerning Richard Allen. Firstly, we're going to take a look back at the search warrant concerning Ron Logan, and afterwards I'm going to be sharing my own thoughts and opinions. I, Nicole Robertson, am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and have been employed as such for 12 years. Prior to her employment as an FBI agent, Nicole Robertson was employed as a Sauk Village, Illinois police officer for approximately 6 years. Nicole Robertson is assigned to the Maryville Resident Agency and currently participates in the investigation of all violent crimes. Background. Point 1. On February the 13th, 2017, at approximately 1 p.m, juvenile victims, hereafter referred to as LG and AW, were taken to the Monon High Bridge Trail located in Delphi, Indiana. LG and AW were walking the trail in the area of County Road 300 North and 575 West near latitude 40, 35 degrees 21.4 degrees, longitude 86, 38 degrees 23.3 degrees at approximately 2:13 p.m, which was the time of last contact with LG and AW by cellular device. The victims were to be picked up by a family member at 3 p.m, and the victims never met with the family member. Approximately 5:30 p.m. was the last successful ping of the cellular phone by AT&T. The victims LG and AW were located deceased on February 14, 2017 at approximately 12:17 p.m. at the above listed latitude and longitude, having been the victims of murder. Section 2. A suspect has been developed of a white male wearing a blue jacket with a heavy physical build, wearing a cap and blue jeans. The development of this suspect was made by a 43-second video taken on LG's phone, where the suspect follows the victims as they are walking on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Near the end of the video, the suspect speaks to the victims saying, quote, "down the hill." It sounds as though he is directing the victims to leave the trail they were on and enter the wooded area below. No person has come forward and identified himself as the person who met the victims and made the statement in LG's video. Therefore, it is believed that person in LG's video participated in the killings. Images of the suspect have been broadcast on the news media since February 15, 2017 as a person of interest. Section 3. LG and AW are presumed to have made contact with the unknown male at approximately 2:13 p.m. based upon analysis of LG's cell phone, which recorded the video. Section 4. On February 14, 2017, at approximately 12:17 p.m, victims LG and AW were found dead with wounds caused by a redacted weapon on the property owned by Ronald Logan. A large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victims' wounds, it is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing. The location of the crime scene is approximately 1,400 feet from Logan's residence. Section 5. Logan is a 77-year-old male. Logan's physical build is consistent with that of the male suspect videoed by LG on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Logan owns farmland and cares for large farm animals. Logan appears to be in good physical condition. Logan has been interviewed several times. His voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. Point 6. It was also discovered that the redacted of one of the victims was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. Based upon my training and experience, It is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or in some fashion memorialise the crime scene, whether by photos or electronic or digital methods, that are then downloaded onto computers, storage devices, tablets, phones, iPad devices, or other electronical devices that store digital data for later viewing, scanning or copying. Point 7. LG and AW had no visible signs of a struggle or fight. Point 8. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators located unknown fibres and unidentified hairs, which may later be used for comparison of similar fibres or hairs. Point 9. Logan owns numerous weapons, including handguns and knives, that were observed by LEOs during the execution of a search warrant that took place at his home on March 6, 2017. Logan's home was searched as a result of a probation violation. The search was limited to the discovery of firearms and included only his main residence. We now move on to section 10, where there is some talk of Ron Logan's cousin, who we will refer to as Male 1. On February 14, 2017, at approximately 9:20 AM, Logan contacted his cousin, Male 1. Logan asked Male 1 to tell the police that Male 1 came to Logan's home between 2 PM and 2:30 PM on February 13, 2017 to pick Logan up. Logan further told Male 1 to say that Male 1 drove Logan to an aquarium store in Lafayette, Indiana. Logan told Male 1 to say that they returned home to Logan's house between 5 and 5:30 PM. Point 11. On February 14, 2017, while requesting consent to search Logan's property, a law enforcement officer, known as a LEO, advised Logan that LEOs would not search his home unless evidence led LEOs to Logan's house. In that meeting, Logan told the LEO that he did not think evidence would lead them to that, but said, quote, "I don't know." Point 12. A receipt from Aquarium World in Lafayette, dated February 13, 2017, with a checkout time of 5:21 PM, was found in Logan's home on March 6, 2017, during a probation violation search. Logan resides approximately 22 miles from the store. It would take approximately 30 minutes to get to the store from Logan's home. Point 13. On March 6, 2017, during an interview with a LEO, Logan said he was picked up by Male 1 around 3 PM and taken straight to the aquarium store in Lafayette. In the March 6, 2017 interview, Logan said after he was done at the aquarium store, he was driven straight home. These statements were found to be factually false and intentionally designed to deceive LEOs. Point 14. On March 7, 2017, Male 1 was interviewed by a LEO. Male 1 told the LEO that he was with Logan on Monday, February 13, 2017, and that Male 1 drove Logan to the aquarium store in Lafayette. On March 9, 2017, Male 1 was interviewed by another LEO regarding the trip to the aquarium. Male 1 told the LEO that he had lied when he was interviewed by the LEO on March 7, 2017 at Logan's request. Male 1 explained that Logan had never asked Male 1 to lie for him in the past. Male 1 knows that Logan has driven his vehicle while on probation, is prohibited from doing so. Male 1 also said that Logan did not ask him to lie for Logan when Logan drove to the transfer station earlier in the day. Point 15. On March 12, 2017, Male 1 explained in an interview to an LEO that Logan called him on the morning of February 14, 2017 and asked him to provide the alibi for Logan's drive to the aquarium in Lafayette. This phone call was made prior to the LEO's discovery of LG and AW's deceased bodies. Based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime. Point 16. Male 1 said he thought the photograph of the male that was released by the media of the man on the bridge looked like Logan. Point 17. Elios learned that Logan had driven on February the 13th, 2017 to the transfer station in Delphi, Indiana to drop off trash. Video from the transfer station shows Logan driving his white Ford pickup truck between 11:27 a.m. and 11:32 a.m. The video from the transfer station appears to be off by 26 minutes, putting Logan at the transfer station from approximately 11:53 a.m. and 11:58 a.m. Point 18. Logan did not ask Male 1 to provide an alibi for his drive to the transfer station on February 13, 2017. Logan only asked Male 1 to provide an alibi for a trip that would have occurred at the time of the apparent abduction of LG and AW. We now move on to past relationships concerning Ron Logan. The redacted names during this section will be referred to as Female 1. Section 19. On March 8, 2017, Female 1 was interviewed by Elios. Female 1 met Logan about 7 or 8 years ago. Female 1 was in a personal relationship with Logan for a couple of months and would stay with him in his home on the weekends. Female 1 left Logan after he became physically abusive. During her interview, Female 1 explained that Logan continued to stalk and harass her after their breakup. During their relationship, Logan had dragged Female 1 out of her car by her hair. Female 1 still fears Logan. Female 1 has not had contact with Logan in approximately 2 years. Female 1 told interviewers that Logan had told her in the past that he could kill her and no one would find her body. Section 20. During her March 8, 2017 interview, Female 1 said that she knew Logan carried a gun everywhere he went. Female 1 knew that Logan would carry a gun in a fanny pack. Female 1 described Logan's fanny pack as one made out of a nicer material. Section 21. During her March 8, 2017 interview, Female 1 told Elios when she first saw the photograph of the man on the bridge, she thought the police were looking for Logan because she thought the photograph was Logan. Female 1 did not initially realise that the photograph was that of the suspect. Section 22. A call placed using Logan's cell phone produced cell tower data that shows Logan's cell phone appears to be in or around his property on February 13, 2017 at 2:09 p.m. Although his exact location cannot be confirmed, the tower data shows that Logan's cell phone was in the Delphi area in the area of the Monon High Bridge Trail. Section 23. An analysis of Logan's cell phone data revealed a text message sent from his phone at 7:56 p.m. on February 13, 2017. Initial exam of this analysis indicates Logan's phone was likely outside of his residence and in the proximity of where LG and AW's bodies were located. Section 25. Logan met with Elios on or about February 17, 2017 while they were on his property. Logan was physically able to get up and down the hill from his home to the crime scene. Section 26. On March 14, 2017, Logan's former housemate, Female 2, was interviewed. Female 2 resided with Logan from about September 2016 through December of 2016. Female 2 was in a sexual relationship with Logan on and off for approximately 3 years. During the interview with Elios, Female 2 said that when she first learned that AW and LG were missing and then found dead near Logan's home, her initial thought was that Logan was involved. Female 2 said in her interview that she feared Logan and even previously told her baby's father if she ever ended up dead, Logan did it. Section 27. On March 14, 2017, Female 2 explained in her interview that Logan had been violent with her in the past. Female 2 explained that on July 4, 2016, while at Logan's home, Logan punched her in the face, knocking her down. Female 2 explained that she was drinking, but Logan was completely sober during the incident. Female 2 also explained that Logan was angry because she disrespected Logan while in Logan's home. Section 28. On February the 13th, 2017, LG's family began searching the area of the trail where LG and AW were initially dropped off, beginning shortly after 3 p.m. LG's family and other community members joined the search shortly thereafter. Carroll County Sheriff's Office was notified at approximately 5:30 p.m. that LG and AW were missing. Once the search for LG and AW began, no one reported seeing any person matching the description of the male on the bridge. Section 29. The FBI has established a database for the collection and organisation of tips provided by the public in this case. A search of the database has revealed 15 tips in which citizens both known and anonymous attributed the crime to Logan for various reasons. Section 30. Based on the above aforementioned facts, Logan was in the area at the time the crime occurred and that he provided false information about his activities during the crime to law enforcement, has a prior propensity for violence, employed others to assist in deceiving law enforcement, and plotted an alibi for a crime that had not yet been discovered. Okay, so let's just step back for one moment and put ourselves in the position of law enforcement here, just for one moment. The discovery of the bodies of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. One of the first things that's going to be apparent to these investigators is the fact that these bodies have been found on the land owned by Ron Logan. Now, I would imagine that law enforcement would have spoken to Ron Logan prior to these bodies being discovered, because maybe they would have asked for permission to search his land during the search efforts. Maybe they would have knocked on his door to see if he'd seen or heard anything, or given him some sort of brief idea of what was going on. You know, these girls were supposed to be picked up this afternoon. They haven't showed up. Have you seen anything? Have you seen anyone walking across your land this afternoon? I would imagine that they had some prior contact with Ron Logan before discovering the bodies. But upon this discovery, we have a meeting here between law enforcement and Ron Logan on February the 14th. And this was when they were basically requesting consent to search Logan's property. And during this conversation, they say to him basically, you know, is there anything that's going to lead back to you? Is there any evidence that's going to lead back to you or your house? And he said, I don't know. Not the most convincing of answers, particularly when you start processing this crime scene and they also discover unidentified fibres and unidentified hairs, possibly animal hairs. Now, we know that Ron Logan kept animals. We know that Ron Logan's house was subsequently searched and he had a collection of guns and knives. And then we need to factor in probably the most important aspect of this is the fact that Ron Logan then has the wise idea to create himself a false alibi because of his parole, because of his previous misdemeanors, shall we say. So not only do we have circumstantial evidence which could lead law enforcement to suspect Ron Logan, but then he's actually making the situation 10 times worse by creating a false alibi. He contacts one of his family members, a cousin I believe it was, and created a false alibi for his whereabouts when these girls went missing and when they were murdered. Now, on the face of it, this does appear incredibly suspicious, but let's just take a look at this from a different perspective just for one moment. Now, if Ron Logan was directly involved in these murders, he knew when they took place, maybe he was even involved physically with these murders, do you not think he'd be trying to obtain an alibi that same evening? Why would he wait until the next morning to call that family member in order to concoct this, as I say, false alibi? Why would you wait through the night into the next morning before trying to obtain that false alibi? I mean, you could say, well, maybe he was considering what to do. He didn't really know which way to turn. And in the morning, he just thought, okay, I'm going to call my cousin. Yes, that is a possibility. But surely, if you were looking to obtain a false alibi, you would be seeking that straight after the murders or within the hours leading off of those murders. You would not be waiting until the next morning when law enforcement, may have found those bodies throughout the evening, throughout the night, through the very early hours of that morning, potentially. I mean, he didn't know, did he, when they were going to be discovered? Why would he wait until around, 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning to actually obtain that alibi if he had direct involvement in those murders. From there we move on to March the 8th, 2017, where one of Ron Logan's previous romantic partners, shall we say, appears on the scene and gives an interview to law enforcement about their prior relationship with Ron Logan. This was according to this lady, a physically abusive relationship, which also included stalking and harassment post the breakup. And this wasn't the only individual who came forward to tell tales of Ron Logan. So, at this point in time, is it any wonder really that law enforcement believed that they were onto a good thing very early on in this investigation when looking into Ron Logan? We then move on to the video itself of the man walking across the bridge. Now, until Richard Allen was arrested, quite recently, I started to believe that this video was becoming a little bit more of a hindrance than a help. And the reason I say that is because when you look at that video, you can almost imagine a multitude of different people being that particular individual. Now, I know some people are going to be adamant and they're going to say that's definitely Ron Logan, or that's definitely not Ron Logan. But back before Richard Allen was arrested, we had a lot of people, me included actually, over a year ago now, I was actually convinced this was a younger person, someone who was in their 20s maybe, or maybe even slightly younger. Yet it may well be someone who is in their mid to late 40s. So it's not that clear. That's what I'm trying to say here. And if you have these two previous partners of Ron Logan coming forward and saying, yeah, well, when I saw that video of the man on the bridge, I was like, oh my God, that's Ron. That's Ron. What's he doing walking across the bridge? That's him. That's immediately going to, it's going to carry some weight, isn't it? These individuals knew Ron Logan, and that's going to carry some weight when they give these interviews to law enforcement, combined with the multitude of other evidence, circumstantial albeit, which is pointing to a rather suspicious individual in Ron Logan. Now, what I think counts against this being Ron Logan, or Ron Logan having some involvement here, is that if he was involved with Richard Allen, or whoever this individual was who was seen covered in mud and blood walking away from the crime scene, why did that individual not go to Ron Logan's property? If Ron Logan was involved, if he had some involvement in these murders, why would the perpetrator not head to Ron Logan's property to clean up? Why did he risk walking out in the open back to his vehicle covered in mud and blood? Now, some people will say, well, that wasn't the plan. The plan was actually to abduct these girls and take them to Ron's property and whatever else. But to that I would say, then why did the perpetrator have a knife? Because he had a gun, he's got the gun to keep these girls under control. What was the need to take the knife? Clearly he took the knife with the intent to harm and kill these individuals. It wasn't taken there for show. It wasn't taken to control these girls. It was taken there for a specific purpose. The gun was used to control the girls and the knife to sadly kill them. So it wouldn't make any sense to take the knife if he planned to lure these girls away from the bridge to Ron Logan's property. And even if that was the original plan, why would you still risk walking along that open road, covered in mud and blood, drawing attention to yourself, when you could just pop into Ron Logan's property, change your clothes, have a shower, whatever, if there was some connection here between the perpetrator and Ron Logan? Why didn't that happen? However, playing devil's advocate here just for one moment, one aspect of this search warrant I do find quite intriguing is the mention of the usage of Ron Logan's cell phone at 2:09 p.m. It states there, a call placed using Logan's cell phone produced cell tower data that shows Logan's cell phone appears to be in or around his property on February the 13th, 2017 at 2:09 p.m. Although his exact location cannot be confirmed, the tower data shows that Logan's cell phone was in the Delphi area, in the area of the Monon High Bridge Trail. Now, it's not so much about the cell site data. I think that's a bit of a red herring, the fact that they've put that in here. on more than one occasion, actually. I'll touch upon that before I get onto this particular phone call. Because they mention, as I say, on more than one occasion, that Ron Logan's phone was used and he was just outside his property, and then he was in the approximate location of where the girls' bodies were found. I mean, the only way they could really know that is if the phone connects to a different mast from just outside his property to where the girls are located. I don't know if that is the case. Are there a multitude of different cell sites where that phone could connect to? I mean, that's really the only way that they could determine that he was in a completely different location other than just outside, maybe in his back garden, or very close to his property, so to speak. So I don't really know how they've determined these minute changes in location from inside his house to just outside the house to on the Monon High Bridge Trail to the approximate location of where the girls' bodies were found. I don't know how they've made that distinction there. As I say, it depends what phone, or what mast I should say, those calls were connecting to. But anyway, back to this 2:09 p.m. phone call. What I do find odd about this is that shortly after this phone call, we have the man approaching the girls on the bridge. Now, you could say, well, maybe Ron Logan was tipping off someone who was in the area that the girls had arrived, that they'd made it halfway across the bridge, and then miraculously this guy approaches the girls with a gun. I mean, you could say that is his level of involvement. No physical involvement. He hasn't seen the murders take place, but he was part of something in order to lure those girls into a precarious situation. Maybe not even knowing exactly what was going to happen to them. I mean, that is a possibility. I can't sit here and say that Ron Logan has absolutely nothing to do with this. Of course I can't. I don't know. I don't know if he has got some level of involvement in this or he's completely innocent. I mean, as far as the law is concerned, at this point in time, he is completely and utterly innocent of any crimes concerning the Delphi murders. Now, recently on YouTube, I have seen some discussion and some content regarding a Discord chat between Barbara McDonald and some of her viewers or supporters discussing Ron Logan. This is from a few years ago now, where Barbara McDonald said she found Ron Logan actually quite suspicious or someone worth looking into. And I do wonder how this is going to play out when the trial of Richard Allen comes around, if it comes around. Are the defence going to jump on this Ron Logan angle, considering that Ron Logan is now dead, he can't actually defend himself in a court of law? Are they going to jump on this? The fact that the FBI were very, very keen early on to talk to this individual, to investigate Ron Logan. And then we have high-profile reporters using Discord and talking to the public about their own suspicions of Ron Logan. I mean, this really could come back to bite them in the arse, to be perfectly honest. It really could when it comes to the trial of Richard Allen, because they're going to be jumping on everything here. They're going to be jumping on every little inconsistency that they possibly can. The eyewitnesses' descriptions of the man, see him wearing the blue jacket or the black jacket, the one with the blue eyes, or he didn't have blue eyes. You know, there's so many inconsistencies here, which the defence are going to pounce upon. And as I say, it wouldn't surprise me if they really do put some heavy emphasis on this Ron Logan angle. Anyway, do leave your own thoughts and theories in the comment section below. Do you believe that this will be a tactic used by the defence in order to discredit the prosecution's case against Richard Allen? And as I said earlier, just kind of inject Ron Logan into the frame here. Is that a possibility? As always, if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up before you leave and click the subscribe button below to be notified of future content. As always, many thanks for joining me for this video. I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.